okay, we're ready.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So as part of this process, we're going to create a journey that's basically a simple click-through process where you can describe what your journey objective is, why you're doing it. So we're going to do a quick mortgage journey here. Okay. Describe it. More importantly, what you're going to do is talk about what kind of content is going to be specified by this journey. So the fact that I'm creating a mortgage journey, we're going to actually put it into a classification of sales and mortgage, okay? So this is aligned to what you would know from the decision strategy perspective of issues and groups that you manage, right? Okay. The next important thing as part of a journey is the length of time you expect customers to, the maximum lengths of time that you expect customers to be in that journey. This helps the analytics engine to basically say, you know what, if a customer has gone over that threshold, they are a negative impact to our models to basically say, this is not working for that customer. So let's say it's a 90-day journey since it's a mortgage, it takes some time to complete that journey. Then the next thing is, if you have multiple journeys that you have in the system, you have to decide when this one is higher in priority than the next one, if they are equal in merit. Okay, so if you have a credit card journey as well as a mortgage journey, and this customer qualifies for both, which one wins? Mortgage or not, okay? So we're going to call this top priority. We want mortgages to always win over everything else, okay? Next part of the process is either to create the configuration from a blank page or a template. And I'm going to choose a template here because it's basically a starting point for us. And what we have is a few basic templates that describe what typical journeys customers go through. Here we have a awareness stage with 2 steps in it, consideration stage with a few steps in it, etc. I'm going to choose that as my primary metaphor for this journey. Okay. And it paints a horizontal depiction of what a customer might go through. They might go through an awareness stage, then a consideration stage, decision stage, etc. And our opportunity as a marketing organization is to define when each of these things is going to be relevant for a customer. What is the entry criteria that is appropriate for an awareness stage? So right here you'll see a criteria configuration page. I can basically say, you know what, mortgages are now relevant only when this criteria is chosen. Okay, so when I apply this mortgage awareness configuration is what is appropriate at this time. Over and above when it's appropriate, what you want to do also is classify the set of content or messages that you want to deliver to a user based on that step. So this is where the offers come in, right? So I'll choose here some line of 30-year mortgage content, line of credit content, etc. And so that is what is going to represent this make aware step in the process.
Is it connected to the decision and strategy framework?
Exactly. So what we've done here, if I click on the awareness stage, okay, I have chosen a condition that represents when that stage is appropriate. Okay, so I have logic that's built into there. I also have a definition of what are the offers that are relevant at that stage. When I click save on here, what we will do is we will inject additional logic into your decision strategy framework that says those offers are appropriate in these configurations. Yeah, so it's metadata that we're applying over and above your decision strategy implementation. Okay.
So before you could kind of get to this logic, but was more complex, and this is going to facilitate a little bit more.
Exactly.
It's all
templatized and taken back. Okay. So let me
go. This is what Javier was looking for.
let me jump out of this and show you one of these things that I would have created before already that I have activated, right? So I've already designed it, I've deployed the strategy behind it, and people are actually engaging with that content. And so I'll open this up and you'll see that that depiction of what customers have gone through in these processes. So what this represents is exactly those things. The journey stages are up the top, the steps exactly as we typed them, as we configured them, okay? But also a depiction of the channels that those are relevant in. So if a customer got an email from us and he clicked on that email or opened the email, we register activity for him there. If someone came to our website and saw that same offer, we would show activity there. So we have two kind of models of how you would see and observe this data. You can
and
click
why
on,
is that ring thicker?
Yeah,
what is that indicating?
Yeah, so if I click on this step here, it'll help me explain. So this step here is basically saying that 250,000 people have entered this step, okay? And 160,000 have gone out of the step, moved on, but 52,000 people remain at this step. They're currently at that step, they haven't moved on. This step here, if I click on this one, there are 76,000 people at that step that are remaining in that step. So it's basically an analysis tool that allows you to basically see maybe there's a problem. People are looking at this content and not engaging, and they're just falling out. They're staying in that step. This says staying, so the thicker that is, the longer they're staying in that step. It's a point of focus.
I see that you have an attribution score.
Yes. I'll get that in a second, but just in terms of the thickness of this line, there's also the thickness of this red line down here, which is the decline. So if a customer physically got to the step but said no, that's a different outcome as well. This one just says they didn't say yes, they didn't say no, they're just stuck there. So a point of focus there, a point of focus on those people that are saying no. Why are they doing it on this step? So attribution score is a score that we use our predictive technology on to basically say how relevant is this step to getting all the way to the end of the journey to the final, where's my mouse? Here. To the final step, which is close this mortgage, okay? And basically we've scored this at a 67 out of 100 to say this is actually a pretty good indicator of success to getting all the way to the end.
So 77% of the customer.
It's not a percentage. It is a value attribution of the score of how important this step is to getting to that. It's not a percent.
So it's a filter that you're going through.
Exactly. The other mode that we can turn on is what we call chart a path, okay, where we can sort of deep dive into any of these steps and see what the logic looks like in terms of how people have flown through here. So if I click on here, I can see that normally I have about 160,000 people that are moving from this step to this step, okay? If I click on the next step here, I see now a further breakdown that 160,000 people have been broken up into 48,000 have gone to this path, and this path. So you can get a picture of exactly how well people are flowing through this conversation, this journey that you're constructing with your customer base. That making sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so this is how marketers can basically start to make it easier to design those strategies, look at the results, and take corrective actions whenever something is important. The final thing I want to show you here, so we're on this step here. I'm showing you these metrics, but we also show you the actual content that people are interacting with on there. So if I, instead of looking at the metrics, I'm going to look at the offers. And this represents all of the content that I'm interacting with on that step. I have a calculate step content, I have rate risk content, I have whatever that is, etc. And not only do I see a preview of the content that the customer would have seen, but I also see the metadata of the adaptive models that are driving this content. So I can see here that for this offer, customer lifetime value between 600 and 665 was the highest predictor of success for this step. Whereas for calculate your rate, CLV value of 300 to 400 was the same thing. And basically, this is how the system is judging the success of any offer.
And what kind of information fits into the system for the system to calculate all of that?
Anything that you have in terms of your customer data, right? So in this case here, we have a lot of customer context data, but you can have things like web traffic, demographic information, feeds from Facebook, etc. Anything that would indicate some kind of metadata that you can help you drive the analytical model, you would feed it in and you would drive that's adaptive model.
So I guess you need to do a mapping exercise of
we actually,
do that.
Our adaptive, if I just open them up.
And most of all for the previous graph where you see this
go ahead.
This journey analytics,
yep.
Where the flows, the graphic with the flows.
Sorry, this one?
Yeah.
Okay, so what is the question on it?
Yes, how you figure out this?
Right, so all of this is coming from interaction history data. So as people...
Basically interaction history.
Interaction history. We, as part of that design process that we went through earlier, we're also tagging each of the offers with extra data that says, if I get interaction history for this offer, make sure it is tagged with this journey, this stage, this step. Okay. And so when I get the interaction data, I can also say, this person hit this step. Right? So it's metadata that we're collecting in interaction history.
What about outside interaction history? Because an interaction history, at the end of the day, is an offer that you get feedback from, and you log that into interaction history.
Yes.
But what about if the customer is basically navigating through the web and is, I don't know, playing with the mortgage calculator?
Yeah. For us, it's just metadata again. We would collect it in the same way as interaction history. All of this journey stuff is actually going into a special part of interaction history for just journey analytics. So if you have actual data that represents journey information, we would stream that in from your Google Analytics or your site analytics, whatever technology, exactly. We would feed it in and drive this kind of content.
All right, and this is available in August?
In August, yes.
Okay. So which companies are on the pilot for this?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Which companies are on the pilot for this?
Right now, this